Beneath the crust of a dead moon in the Vare system, a shape lay entombed in crystal and obsidian. She had no name that echoed anymore, no worshippers left to speak her titles. In a time before recorded time, she had been revered as the life-bringer, the star-weaver, the great mother of the endless seas. But the galaxies shifted, her followers vanished, and her temples turned to dust. Silence pressed against her prison, thicker than the blackest void, until even the echo of her own voice had faded inside her mind. Through countless cycles she dreamed, of oceans that kissed starlight, of children with gleaming eyes, of songs so pure they could melt comets. But each time she reached toward those dreams, her fingers met the cold inner walls of her tomb, and the visions withered. Then came the human. His name was Elias Cord, a deep space salvager. His ship, the Silver Sparrow, was battered and barely held together, its hull scorched from asteroid storms and pirate raids. Elias had been following a half-mythical set of coordinates hidden in an ancient trade beacon. He didn't seek glory or treasure, only the hope of something wondrous to pull him away from the loneliness gnawing at his soul. When he arrived at the moon, sensors screamed warnings of radiation and tectonic instability. Elias ignored them. Something deep within called to him, not in words, but in an aching pull that wrapped around his heart. He descended into the moon's labyrinthine caves, each step echoing through caverns that had not known footsteps in eons. At the heart of it all, he found her, a colossal crystal chamber that pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat lost in sleep. Inside the crystal, he saw her, a luminous figure with flowing strands of starlight for hair, her eyes closed in sorrow. Even in her entombed state, her beauty was unearthly, her presence impossible to comprehend. Elias fell to his knees. He did not think of treasure or fame. All he felt was overwhelming reverence and a yearning to help. He pressed his gloved hand to the crystal surface, feeling warmth spark beneath his palm. "Hey," he whispered, his voice breaking in the cavern's stillness. "I don't know if you can hear me, but you're not alone anymore." The warmth flickered, then spread. Inside the crystal, the goddess's fingers twitched for the first time in millennia. A single crack snaked through the obsidian cocoon. Elias kept his hand there, ignoring the alarms blaring from his suit, ignoring the rising tremors beneath his feet. He began to hum, a simple human tune his mother had taught him, meant to calm restless minds and lonely hearts. The vibration traveled into the crystal, weaving around the goddess's essence like a gentle embrace. Her eyes fluttered open. Light burst from them, washing over Elias and filling the chamber with dawn-like radiance. The cave shook violently, shards falling in a deafening rain. But Elias did not move. She looked at him, truly saw him, and in that gaze, 1,000 lost constellations seemed to ignite. Her mind unspooled from endless sleep, her thoughts once more weaving galaxies and oceans and living songs. When the crystal finally shattered, the goddess rose. Her presence filled the cavern, a shimmering tapestry of starlight and warmth that pushed back the darkness. Elias staggered backward, eyes wide, but he didn't flee. She stepped toward him, each motion fluid as a wave. Her fingers brushed his cheek, leaving sparks of warmth that raced down to his bones. "You." Her voice rang like an entire choir woven into one, both thunderous and intimate. "You came for me. After all the ages, you touched me. You sang to me." Elias swallowed hard, heart hammering. I couldn't leave you alone here." A smile, soft and radiant, spread across her face. "You are human. So small, so bright. You carry such noise in your hearts, such defiance against the void. It is beautiful." She knelt before him, a goddess bowing to a mortal, and pressed her forehead to his. In that moment, she saw every scar of his past, the grief of lost crewmates, the hollow years drifting among empty stars, the tiny flame of hope he had guarded so fiercely. Through him, she felt all humanity's struggles and laughter, the stories whispered over campfires on distant worlds, the fearless songs sung before impossible battles. "You woke me," she breathed. "You gave me back the universe." The moon began to collapse around them, the ancient foundations finally giving way under her awakening power. She rose again, spreading her arms. Waves of luminescent energy radiated outward, knitting fractures shut, turning molten rock to living coral and crystalline gardens. Outside, the lifeless gray plains blossomed into bioluminescent forests and sapphire lakes. The moon, once a tomb, transformed into a world of endless dawn. Elias fell to the ground, breathless, tears streaking down his cheeks. She turned to him, her eyes soft as sunrise. "You are no longer a wanderer, Elias Cord. You are the herald of dawn." Gently, she lifted him, and the pair ascended into the sky. Across the system, sensors on distant stations recorded an impossible flare of light. A new star had been born where the dead moon once hung. Stories spread like wildfire, of a human who braved the depths not for riches, but to wake a forgotten goddess with a single touch. Of a lost moon reborn as a cradle of life and wonder. The galaxy, once convinced of human fragility, now whispered of their infinite courage, of the warmth in their hands, the song in their chests, and the relentless hope that could revive even gods. And somewhere in that luminous new world, Elias and the goddess walked side by side. He taught her laughter and the taste of fresh fruit. She taught him how to shape nebulae and stir oceans with a thought. Together, they wrote a new legend, one where humanity's touch was not just power or violence, but something deeper. A gift that could wake the universe itself and coax it into singing once more.